Welcome everybody to the 44th Perpetual Protocol Community Call. It's really great to have you all here. And I'm just seeing now if I'm live. Yes, looks like it's working. Yeah, so if you hear us talking, please let me know in the chat. You can just type something in the chat to let us know if we're live. Really great to be here with you all as always. I'll just start with an apology for 2 weeks ago. We did not have the community call as scheduled. There was a bunch of scheduling issues. Personally, I was traveling, if I recall correctly, I was traveling from Colombia back to Canada. And yeah, there was a bit of time there where it's a little crazy with traveling and everybody else was either traveling or unavailable. So at the last minute, we discovered there was nobody to actually do the call. So apologies for that. But today we are back, although we're back in a sort of slightly limited capacity. It's just me and Andrew on the call today. Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Hey, Lee. Hey, everyone. It's been at least a month, so I'm happy to be back on the calls.
Yes. Yeah, really great to have you. I'm just typing in the chat to see if people can hear. Okay. I'm informed that people can hear, although I don't see any like video, so I don't know what's going on there. All right. I'll just try sharing my screen to make sure that works. Yeah, it's pretty unusual for just me and Andrew to be on the call. I apologize to all the fans of our other hosts, but never fear, they will be back in action for future calls, so don't give up hope yet.
Lee, this is our chance to win over our own cohort of fans.
That is true. I hadn't thought of it that way. All right, well, let's try and make it an exciting call then. All right. Okay, I see that my sharing screen is also working, so that's good. All right, so just as a warm-up question we have for you today, recently we've come out with a bunch of different tools, and there's just more and more like sort of things in the Perp ecosystem that make Perp more useful or easier to use. Oh, actually, I think we have a new person just joining us. Let me double check. Yes, it's Anisha. Hey, Anisha, how you doing?
Hey guys, nice to be here.
Yeah, awesome to see you. This is Anisha. Is this your first time on a call?
Yeah, this is my first time.
Awesome. Well, really great to have you here. For people who don't know, Anisha is one of our business development team members, and she also does some community stuff. Yeah, really awesome to have you on, and we'll get Anisha to talk about a few things during the call. So Anisha, normally at the beginning of the call, just to let you know, we usually start with like a warm-up question, and our warm-up question for today is about Perp related tools. So there's a lot of different tools now available for Perp users, and we just have a new one that came out actually very recently called vePERP Calculator. It's a Dune dashboard. Actually, I can maybe just share it quickly. Hold on. It's a Dune dashboard that lets you get an idea of what kind of rewards you can expect for a certain amount of Perp and an amount of time that you stake it. So I'll just share that so you can have a look. Hold on. Hey, we've got Jamie on the call as well. Welcome, Jamie.
Hey, guys.
We're doing a freestyle today. People are joining at various points, but I think we're all here now. I think this is the entire group of people we're going to have. All right, so this is the Dune dashboard that is for vePERP, and you can calculate what kind of rewards you can expect. So the first thing to do when you're using this is to actually sign in. You need a Dune account, but it's a free account, so you can just sign in. And then you can enter like the number of weeks you're planning to lock and how many Perp you have locked. And I guess it lets you compare your previous and the new lockup to see how many more rewards you would get. And this will give you an estimate of like what kind of APR you can expect. And actually some people asked me like on the, I'll just go to it now. People ask me what the difference between the APR and the my APR is, which is a great question. So it'll ask you like, it'll show you this APR last week and then it says my APR last week and what's the difference. So this is basically just sort of like an average of all the vePERP in the system, and my APR would be the APR for you. So if you're staking for longer than the average, your APR will be higher. Like right now, if you stake for 52 weeks, your APR will be quite a bit higher than this, about 5% higher. Whereas if you're staking for a lower amount of time, then your APR would be lower than this. So if you want to beat the overall pool APR, make sure to set your lock time to 52 weeks, and then you'll be at the top of the stack for that. Back to the Dune, hold on. All right, so the Perp calculator. So if you're interested in getting more information about, or like a projection of what kind of rewards you can earn using Lazy River 2.0, this is the dashboard for you. I'll just put that in the chat on YouTube. Okay. We also have another Dune dashboard called, I think it's HODL, yes. All right, so it's Perp HODL. This gives some stats about the Perp token itself. So if you're a holder and or a prospective holder, you can come and look at some stats about the Perp token itself. So I will put that in the chat as well then. All right. Okay. I'm just curious if anybody has used these tools. We have a bunch of other tools as well. There's tools like vault tools, like Teahouse Vault and dComma's Vault. These are two pretty interesting vaults that I'd recommend you check out. We've also got a Perp CLI tool, which was created recently, and we have Perp Sim and DeFi Labs simulator for LPs. So I would recommend checking all of these out. And I'm curious, like, if anybody on the call today has used these before. So if you have used these before, just let us know in the chat. Just like send a yes or send the name of the tool that you've used. If you haven't used any of them, I highly recommend checking it out. I see Tina Xuan, I'm assuming that is sending us a heart. Thank you for that, Tina. All right. So yeah, of all those tools, personally, the ones I really only use are the dComma Vault and the Teahouse Vault. I'd recommend checking those out, especially Teahouse. I'm a big fan of Teahouse, so you'll always hear me talking about it.
I was just going to add, there's also the TradingView connector that is launched. So for any trader out there who wants to execute their strategies on Perp, but kind of use the charting tools provided by TradingView, you can self-host the tool that has been built and execute your strategies on Perp.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up. I almost forgot about it. Yeah, we had a recent kind of a workshop regarding that. So you can definitely check that out if you're interested in using TradingView and being able to connect with Perp. As far as I understand, the ability to actually execute trades via that is a little bit limited, but it's if you're interested in TradingView, I would highly recommend checking it out. All right. So in the last week, for some like DeFi related news, there's a bunch of sort of small news items. I guess maybe one of the bigger ones was the cow swap hack. Hopefully none of you are cow swap users because they got a bunch of their money stolen. Any of you hear this news? Hopefully none of you are affected.
Thankfully, I was not affected, but I did see it pop up first on Twitter. So, I mean, it's just, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. I think I see different hacks almost every single day. Some seem to be as a result of teams negligence, some personal negligence. And one thing that we should be able to control as best as possible is our personal negligence. It didn't seem like the cow swap was personal. It seemed more on the smart contract hack. But you know, you got to be careful and vigilant out there.
Yeah, for sure. And coming up, we do have, I believe we have some stuff in the pipeline to like increase the transparency of our own security. So really looking forward to that. All right, so another thing that I've been watching a lot is this Noster protocol, which has kind of taken off a little bit. Are any of you on that? If you're on it, then you should follow me. Guess I'm the only one. Anyway, it seems to be pretty big, more in the Bitcoin space. Yeah, Bitcoin, and then like people who follow Jack. I'm blanking on his last name, but the guy who invented Twitter, anyway, is now big into Noster. He's on
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, there we go, Jack Dorsey. Thank you. That's why we have a co-host on the show, so that I can remember what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's pretty big, and both Houston and I are on there. So if you want to come and follow us, just you can look us up, or if you can't find us, you can ask us on Discord. Seems like a pretty cool thing. It's really developing quickly and pretty exciting. And so yeah, you should check it out. Hopefully it'll be the new Twitter. Also looks like there's some sort of progress, or I don't know if you can really call it progress, but like news about the bankruptcies or the financial troubles of the DCG and associated projects. So I don't know if anybody has been following that.
Yeah, and it's definitely popping up in the U.S. a bunch on our news feeds, because I think they hold 10 billion in assets, and the plan is to right now try and sell a good portion of that to try and raise for the bankruptcy. And the people I had spoken to, I think anticipated more of a fallout from that in the markets, but I think it seems like the sentiment is a lot of the contagion is priced in. And so it didn't have the type of impact that people were expecting, which I think is really a good thing. As we're hoping that this upturn continues into February and into the coming months that we saw in January, I think, navigating the contagion waters positively is good for the market. So we'll see, but it's definitely been all over my space.
All right, I guess that explains why I haven't heard so much about it. Like maybe more affects the US market. And we don't have a lot of, or any really US users that I'm aware of. So yeah, hasn't affected us too much. Hopefully none of you are affected. Something a little more positive that's coming up is Optimism Bedrock. And Optimism is going to be hosting an AMA coming up very soon to talk more about that. So check them out on Twitter and get the details for that AMA that's coming up. And you can learn more about Bedrock. It's should be a pretty interesting update. I think in general for users, there won't be like a whole lot of changes that are visual to everyday users as far as I'm aware. But it is a major update, and Perp will also have some updates. Specifically, we'll be updating the TWAP. So if you trade regularly on Perp, I highly recommend that you keep an eye out for updates coming regarding the TWAP. There should be some announcements, and also I think we'll have a banner on the front page on like app.perp.com about that to give you a heads up. There won't be any major change. The important thing will be to just make sure that your leverage is set at like a reasonable level. But if you're trading like responsibly, with like 2 or 3x leverage at the max, then it won't affect you at all. But there may be some instances if you're trading with like 10x leverage where you might be a little more at risk during the switch to Bedrock. So definitely check that out. But like I say, we'll have more announcements about that. So keep an eye out, and everything should be fine. All right. So as always, anything that we talk about is not financial advice. Just want to make that clear. And of course, follow all the rules of DeFi and crypto, like don't invest more than you can afford to lose, not your keys, not your coins, and all that stuff. But make sure, do your own research and never invest more than you can afford to lose. Those are the main rules. All right, with that, we can get into the main portion of the show here, which is our newsletter. So the newsletter actually this week is pretty short. which you may have noticed if you're a subscriber of the newsletter. And this will we'll be keeping things a little bit shorter going forward. And as far as I understand, the marketing team will also have some other non-newsletter type emails coming out as well from time to time. So look forward to those as well. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, make sure to get signed up. That way you can get the latest and most interesting news, updates about the protocol, and get a review of anything that you might have missed during the last couple of weeks. So recently, the biggest sort of little piece of news has been an article that we produced talking about Perp's path forward, which is sort of a general look at what the future of the next several months at Perp are going to look like. So I would highly recommend checking out the article, like for all the details. We won't really go into the details a lot today. Although, yeah, I don't know if you guys have any like parts of this article that you found particularly interesting.
I mean, I would jump in and say the big highlights for me, I love the direction we're taking about trying to put together some neutral vaults. I think our team is, really strong on the trading side, and I really am excited to see them bring some of the strategies that they've been working on to the users. And then the other big one is we'll be continuing to play with the markets to make sure we're putting in front of our users the markets that they're excited about. So perhaps it's trendy tokens, perhaps it's whatever it is. We're excited to get some markets out there that people want to trade with. So those are the two highlights that I was quite excited about and excited to see them roll out.
Yeah, for sure. If there's tokens that you think would benefit being on the protocol or that you would like to trade and you think are pretty hot, definitely let us know. Jamie, do you have any other parts of the article that you thought are worth highlighting?
Yeah, I'll disagree with Andrew. I think the vaults are quite interesting, moving to like a multi-product future, but still like focusing on a decentralized derivatives exchange. But yeah, like making it simpler for people to use Perp in a different way. And for like geared towards like more like passive investing, I think that's going to be a really interesting avenue to explore.
Yeah, nice. Definitely, that's something I'm into as well. I don't really have time to actively trade on Perp, so more passive type things are definitely of interest to me. All right, moving on. Unless there's anything else anybody else wants to say, Anisha, did you have something you want to add about it?
No, I think pretty much covered.
Awesome. All right, so we did go over the vePERP calculator quite a bit already, so I won't go into it more now, but yeah, the link is there. So if you missed the link, although I did paste it in the chat, if you missed the link, just check it out in our newsletter, or you can ask for it on Discord. We'll be more than happy to give you the link and also answer any questions you have about how to actually use the dashboard. Since it's on Dune, it's like a little bit tricky to use, but I think it should be straightforward. If you have any questions, just come and let us know. We'll be more than happy to answer. And we have some product stats to update. Andrew, do you want to let us know about this?
Yeah, so I was really, really excited to see these stats come out. So basically, in the past 7 weeks that Lazy River has been live, we've distributed nearly 140K in USDC, a little over 140K in Perp rewards, with an average 4-week rolling APR of just north of 20%. And I think that although these numbers, depending upon what other exchanges you're seeing doing similar distributions, could be lower or higher, depending upon what you are excited for, I think in a bear market, having these types be distributed directly to users over 140K is just awesome in USDC. So I think as we scale as an exchange and as we see more people trade, as the markets become more exciting, as retail volume starts to come back, those numbers are going to go up. And it's going to be a real exciting part of what Perp is doing here. And then on top of that, I just think it was really awesome as we've been working on this for the past 6 months prior to that, really building out the tech to actually implement it, to see it implemented and working as it is really exciting. So I would say that this is a real big calling point for me and something that has been awesome to see. I'm also staked, so I make some money off that too. So that's okay.
Not financial advice though. But yeah, it's super exciting, especially like for people who have the dream of like, this kind of financial platform being owned by the community, and for any rewards or profits that are generated to be directed back and paid back into the community is pretty amazing. So yeah, super exciting. And for this kind of number in a bear market, like that's really pretty reasonable. Also keep in mind this like 20%, that is, if you've been staking for 52 weeks, that you would be seeing like quite a bit better than that actually. So pretty interesting overall. Very exciting. And something that's been a dream for our project for like 3 years. For people who've been around since the beginning, like the USDC sharing has been one of the major dreams. So that's pretty exciting. All right, so we'll just keep rolling on here into marketing and partnership news. In the very recent past, we had an AMA with our sister project, Teahouse. If you missed that AMA, definitely check it out. There's some pretty interesting info about Teahouse itself, about the project, about what they've got going on with various campaigns. And also with that Teahouse AMA, we kicked off a raffle for anybody who is depositing funds in the Teahouse Vault. So Teahouse Vaults actually have been in development for a while now. And for some time, they were in like a private beta where they're only accessible to Teahouse NFT holders. Then finally, about a month ago, they launched a public vault that's based on Perp. And so far, the vault's been doing pretty well. I'd recommend going and checking it out. As always, just do your own research, check out Teahouse on your own and make sure everything is on the up and up as far as you can tell before investing in that project. But still, I would highly recommend checking it out, especially since right now they have a campaign going on. And to be eligible for the campaign, you can deposit, I think it's $10, $50, or $500 into the vault to be eligible for different levels of the campaign. So it is open to people who just want to test it out and see how it works. You can still get a chance to win hardware wallets and some cool swag. Now, it's a little bit unusual to be giving away hardware wallets, but actually, because Teahouse is based in Taiwan, they made a deal with this Taiwanese hardware wallet manufacturer, which is not that well known, but they've been around for several years. So that's a really cool partnership that they've got going on there, and I highly recommend you go and check it out. And yeah, it'd be pretty fun to win one of those. So have a look. You can see more. There's a link on our Twitter about that AMA and to get information about the campaign. So definitely check that out. Also in the recent past, at the end of last month and early February, we had a couple of Twitter spaces that we were involved with. The first one was Rolling Up with Optimism. And I believe our team member, Jamie, was on that call. Is that right, Jamie?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So, yeah, we just talked about optimism, had a good chat with someone from Quentor, sorry, not Synthetics, and Elk Finance. So, yeah, check that out if you want to learn a bit more about optimism, what's coming up, and, yeah, what different projects are doing on it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I also noticed that, I guess we mentioned at the beginning of the call that Optimism has an AMA coming up as well in the next couple of days about Bedrock. So I highly recommend checking that out too. And a little more recently, we had a chat with our partner Lemma Finance regarding their somewhat complicated platform. I'm hoping that Anisha can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I can try to explain that. So Lemma is essentially a swap exchange. So anyone can go and swap their ETH for BTC, etc., etc. The way it works is very interesting. Basically, they hold all of these assets, let's say ETH, BTC, etc., in a pool, and that pool acts as the counterparty for every trade. But under the hood, where Perp comes into place is their entire pool is hedged on Perp by taking a long or short position. And they keep managing as every time, let's say that there's a trade, let's say I go to Lemma and trade 10 ETH for BTC. What happens under the hood is that Lemma will swap that ETH for BTC and give me an equivalent amount of BTC. But in their reserves, they have more ETH and less BTC. So they will increase the short position on ETH and decrease the short position on BTC, such that their pools are always delta neutral. And what this mechanism does is allows them to give a lot of liquidity, gives perp liquidity, as they say. So it allows them to leverage the liquidity on perp while essentially creating a spot market, which is something super useful to both of us because perp doesn't have a spot market. We have a futures market, but this way we're able to leverage the liquidity of our pools and open a spot market for the users. I hope that was made it better and not worse for everyone trying to understand Lemma.
I would say definitely Lemma is one of the slightly more complicated platforms. So it's definitely worth checking out that AMA. I'd highly recommend everybody go and take a listen. You can, or not really an AMA, it's a Twitter space. I'm sure it was recorded and we can go and listen to it again. But definitely sounds very interesting. Okay. All right, so that's about it. Yeah, that's about it for the regular community call section of the program. All right, I'll just stop sharing. So we'll open it up for Q&A, but let me just see. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have our friend Houston on the show today, but never fear, there will still be an NFT that you can claim. I think it works the same as always. There's a forum that where you can give us some feedback about how you use the protocol, and then you can claim an NFT. And filling out the form is up to you. You can still claim the NFT without filling out the form, but we always appreciate very much anybody who gives us feedback, lets us know how we're doing. So I will post that in the chat. All right, and we can open up the floor to questions. Happy to get any type of questions you might have about the project or anything else that we discussed on the call today, or any other items that you want to discuss. All right. And we do have actually some questions that were gathered for us already from the community that we can go over right now. And one of the questions is, how much vePERP is given each week? So I guess this could mean one of two things. Actually, the way I interpret this question would be like how much, because in addition to USDC rewards, we're also continuing to give out PERP rewards as a bonus. And unlike Lazy River 1.0, in Lazy River 2.0, those PERP rewards are given as vePERP. So you can claim them directly into your VE stake. They directly add to your VE PERP balance. And they have the same lock time as you're using so far. So if you've locked for, let's say you've locked for 20 weeks and you claim the vePERP bonus, then those new vePERP that you got will also be locked for 20 weeks. And another way to interpret the question would be like, let's say you receive X amount of vePERP, how much will that show as in your pool of vePERP? So let's say your bonus for this week was like 10 vePERP, and you're staking for 26 weeks, so it's about a half a year. So actually, when you claim those 10 vePERP, I think it will be added as 5 vePERP to your pool of vePERP, because you're only staking for half the year. If you stake for the whole year, then it would be at a 1-to-1 ratio. I believe that's how it works. A final question about the vePERP reward bonus would be like how much of that is given out each week. And again, it's based on the amount of fees gathered by the platform. So if the platform earned, $10,000 in fees in 1 week, then 10,000 USDC worth of perp will be also given out as the bonus in vePERP, up to a maximum of a certain amount. There's a cap for each. Actually, I think the cap might be just a global cap, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a cap of a certain maximum number of per week that are given as a bonus. I think it might be 25,000, sorry, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it does say sometimes you'll see some weeks did reach the cap. So yeah, hold on. Oh yeah, okay. It's thank you, Jamie. It's actually 10% of trading fees up to 25,000 perp. So the trading fees obviously would be in USD. So whatever value of whatever the perp value is for that week, it'll be converted, and 10% of the trading fees will be given out as perp up to a cap of 25,000. So yeah, thanks for that, Jamie. That's the advantage, like I say, of having co-hosts. They remind you of when you get things wrong. All right. So we don't have any questions from the chat yet. If you have questions, you can just post it directly in the chat on YouTube and let us know, and I'll be happy to answer. Second question that we gathered in advance of the call is how to make changes and play around with potential rewards using the vePERP calculator. All right. So something I didn't go over when we were discussing the Dune dashboard for vePERP, calculating vePERP rewards, is how to actually make it show you the rewards after you enter the parameters. So after you enter the amount of weeks and the amount of perp, then at the top, you have to click on the button that says apply all parameters, and that will actually calculate based on the things that you entered. So make sure to click on that apply all parameters button at the top after you enter the amount of weeks and the amount of perp. And yeah, as always, if you have any questions about it, you can just come to our Discord. We'll be more than happy to answer the questions there. Yeah, I don't see any other questions coming from the chat today. We are doing the call a little bit earlier than we have in the past. That's one reason that Houston is unable to join us, since he's in a time zone where I think right now would still be like 4 in the morning, something like that. So yeah, it's possible today we don't have that many viewers based on the different time zone, but I think going forward for the next several weeks, we will be doing the call at this time. So hopefully people can join if they're in a time zone where it works for them. But if you're watching this call as a recording and you have any questions, definitely come to our Discord. We love to get any questions and do our best to answer them for you. So just come and let us know. All right, just before we wrap up the call, I'll take a little quick look at Discord to see if there's any questions here. Nope. Not really, although I would like to say we have a poll. It was started by our amazing community member, Night Lotus. The poll is in the general channel. Definitely go and check out the poll, and we want to hear your answer, or at least Night Lotus does, and we're really curious to see what people are answering. I see there's a bunch of answers already. So yeah, go and check out that poll, and looking forward to seeing your answer. And I guess that about wraps it up for today. It's really great to have all of you with us, as always, and we look forward to doing it again in 2 weeks. All right, someone sent me a friend request on Discord. I don't tend to answer friend requests, sorry, but I'll check it out and see what I can do for you. All right, so that'll be it for this time. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again in 2 weeks. And until then, we'll see you around Discord. And thanks a lot for joining us. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys.